Redefinition. Redefinition is the favorite tool. Definition. Definition. Redefinition. 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 Changing the meaning of language is the favourite tool for control freaks. I've noticed this when I'm reading my opponent's ideology books. And the funny thing is, I know more about the books I've been reviewing for YouTube than the ones I've been reading for me, personally. And it's a funny thing because doing these reviews, you have to I'm making notes and I'm making jokes and I'm thinking of ideas and bits and stuff like that. And I remember them more. So I went back for some of these, for the original books that I've been reading, the ones that formed me mind. And I noticed a few patterns. And this main pattern is the misuse of language. It's the change in the definition of words, basically. So basically what they do is, they'll take a word that has a reputation and they'll use it wrongly, incorrectly. So they'll do it in two ways. They'll do it in a negative way if they want to shut somebody down, if they want to, beat somebody up with a club, or they'll do it in a positive way if they want to sell an unpopular idea to people, but they wouldn't normally accept it. So they candy coat it in horse shit, a euphemism, an acronym, a synonym. And the big one that I've noticed recently is carbon. Carbon's a big deal right now, isn't it? A lot of people are doing carbon reduction, carbon credit score, carbon cameras and all this kind of stuff, and carbon neutral and horse shit. Did you know that carbon's actually an umbrella term? No, it's not. It can't be an umbrella term. It's a chemical. I know what carbon is. It's in your pencil. We breathe it out. It's what trees breathe in. Yeah, that's the dirty trick. Oh, yeah, I am recording. That's the dirty trick that they're actually using. They've used a word that actually means something else. And why would they do that? Because carbon sounds manageable. Reducing carbon, it's a one thing. It's one chemical, right? Oh no. Carbon is an umbrella term for greenhouse gases. Do you remember those? Oh, those things that apparently warm the atmosphere up and that have been pumped into the atmosphere with pumped into the warm the climate up, that vague thing that they keep talking about. So, what do they mean by greenhouse gases? It's carbon dioxide, methane, there's another one, nitrous oxide, I think. There's a whole load of greenhouse gases that apparently warm the world up. But you know what another greenhouse gas is? Water vapor. They don't really mention that, do they? When they're talking about lowering carbon. I know, I can see you looking at the tally right now going, oh, you stupid conspiracy theorist. That's not what the carbon thing is. It's about carbon. It has to be about carbon. But it isn't. You don't believe me? Let's just check our boy Bill Gates. Let's just quote him directly. For the sake of variety, and because reading greenhouse gas 100 times will make your eyes glaze over, I'll sometimes use carbon as a synonym for carbon dioxide and other gases. Right from the snake oil salesman's mouth. We're going through all of this chaos. We're going through all of this world-changing bullshit for all of these gases that they just deem as warming the world up. You should be able to say plainly what you're doing. And if you're having to hide it behind a sales pitch, like carbon, you are suspect. I think you're a con man. I think you're a con man. Everybody thinks he's a con man at this point. I mean, Christ, over the last 4 years, who can trust Bill Gates now? I mean, there was obviously there's the COVID thing and the vaccine thing. Vaccine. Can't say it too many times, otherwise YouTube might shut us down. But this one's probably for me BitChute audience and me Rumble audience more than anything else. That vaccine was never a vaccine. They changed the definition of vaccine. How many people would have actually taken it if they called it what it really was? Emergency use experimental mRNA injection. How many people would take that? No. And while we're on the subject of acronyms, COVID is an acronym. That's probably this video getting all these little titles at the top of the video now, because I'm daring to speak about it. But I've realized that's the common thing in these, let's just call them control freak books. All of these books that seem to be under the same totalitarian agenda push, the same, they want to move society in a way that's everybody needs to be on a minefield. Everybody needs to be careful about what they say. They can't say this and they can't say that. And they're going to get beaten over the head with all of these other synonyms and all of these other umbrella terms. He's a fascinating one, because I don't want to focus on Bill Gates too much. I've been reading, obviously, My Opponent's Ideologies books, and one of them, I kind of can't resist. We'll come to it when I finish reading it. But I've been reading this book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Would you believe it's the most racist book I've ever read? The most racist book I've ever read. Basically, are you not a racist? I'm not a racist. Are you a racist? No. Got news for you. You're a racist, according to this guy. He says that if you're basically... I can't quote him. I've missed the page. But basically, he says that people who say they're not racist are wearing a mask for racism. It's not enough to be not racist. You have to be actively anti-racist. And what is anti-racism? You are actively fighting for the privilege of every non-white person in the world. He might say that. That's fucking racist. You're focusing on black, white, Chinese, Indian, all this kind of stuff, and he wants like reparation kind of things. He's okay with laws like of affirmative action. He's okay with that because it's anti-racist. It's giving money to. It's privileging people. That's what these whole umbrella terms and these acronyms and synonyms are really hiding. The bullshit. Anti-racist means. What does it mean? It means black supremacy. It's not just black. It's like everybody other than white supremacy. That's what it means. It's not. It's as racist as you can get. And the carbon thing, like I say, it's not just carbon. These umbrella terms, it's a common thing in these New World Order books. These other ones, I've already talked about these ones. And these use umbrella terms to slide an agenda in. They use umbrella terms like harassment when they're really talking about honesty and jokes. And the other one uses, what was it? The umbrella term. Although it immediately starts off with, if you criticize us, you are committing transgenocide, If you criticize what we're doing, you're encouraging hatred against our group. Starting off nice and quick, setting the minefield, setting the table. Setting the minefield, that's the best way of putting it. With clubs to whack you over the head. And that's what these opponent ideology books reek of. They've got the same thing. They lie. They're filled with lies. The core things, other things, like I say, these clubs that they talk about, well, they don't call them clubs. But like I say, if you have a problem with a man being in a woman's changing room, that's a normal thing. That's an honest thing. But no. They'll hit you over the head with the transphobe club. And if you're not okay with kids being told about sex, you're a homophobe. And if you're not okay with... What have I got here on my little list? Oh, yeah. There's the new one, the racist thing, the anti-racist. You can't just be not racist. That's not enough. No. You have to be anti-racist. Otherwise, you're a racist. What have I got here? Oh, there's another one. There's a new one for the book. Who would have thought that one would lose its shine? Anti-Semitism. With all of the monstrous shit that Israel's doing, the clear genocide, the wiping out of the Palestinian people. How could you not criticize that? It's the most moral thing in the world to criticize that, to come out in outrage against that. But of course, when you do, you get called anti-Semite. But that's kind of losing its edge now, isn't it? Just like anti-vaxxer lost its edge and conspiracy theorist. All of these brands, they're starting to dilute themselves too much. And it's a funny effect that it's having. Because one day, we might need terms like misogynist and racist and homophobe. We might need them again. One day there might be a brutal totalitarian dictator who's homophobic and he wants to commit a transgenocide, and he's a racist, he's a white nationalist, and he's a Nazi and a fascist and all that kind of stuff. All of the K words, thanks to YouTube. He might be all these. And we're going to waste time asking each other, is he really those things? Or is he like the old-fashioned, or the current trend anyway, of misusing terms, of expanding them too far? So I needed to tell you that, because I don't think a lot of people, they don't say that it's an umbrella term, the carbon thing. They didn't say that the vaccine was redefined. They don't tell you. But they do in the books. They tell you how they use on language. And that's the funny thing. I can't help but think on some kind of like weird car-make level, some weird lawsuit level, some weird kind of they can't be really held accountable thing. They can say, oh, I told you in my book that I was using carbon like that. It'll exist somewhere. The advice. The admission, sorry, the confession. It'll appear somewhere.